Now these days, you can pick up fresh fruit or juice almost anywhere, but it wasn't all that long ago when a fresh orange or grapefruit was a rare treat. That all changed when a newfangled train came rolling down the tracks.
This is the Tropicana juice train, loaded with orange juice. It's headed for stores in your neighborhood, straight from Florida.
If you've ever had the opportunity to see the train go by, it's an awesome sight. You know, the train at some point in time can be up to a mile long in total, and it's a stream of orange cars with Tropicana written on the side of it. So that sight in itself is pretty exciting, no matter if it's going out the door or it's coming in your door.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. The story really starts at the Tropicana plant in Bradenton, Florida, where the oranges take the first step in their long but swift journey to your glass.
First thing you should know is that the fruit is harvested from the months of October through June every year. And they come in raw form as an orange itself in trailer loads. These trailer loads are then picked up, put into our sorting and cleaning operation on a daily basis, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And they go through a process of being able to be sorted into different sizes. And as a result of being put into different sizes, then they're put into the operation of actually being cut in half and reamed, or extracting the juice from that standpoint. The product is packaged in many different varieties. We have approximately 300 to 350 SKUs, or shipping units, that we have. They're all palletized, and then from a palletization process they move into our warehousing operation. Now, in the warehousing operation, we have 2 courses to move the product out the door. We put it in trucks going directly to some of our customers in the southeast area here in the United States from Florida, or on our train. And our train takes the product directly to our New Jersey facility and our Cincinnati facility. Since CSX and Tropicana have been doing business for almost 30 years together, it's really maybe the last 2 years that we became partners in this relationship, and really trying to find ways to help each other to move forward. They're trying to find ways to make sure that the cars are safe, to try to find ways to increase the speed and cut down on the cycle time it takes to move the cars from Jersey City back here, and also from here up to Cincinnati, and that whole network of moving the cars. We own and operate 353 cars right now, and we turn those cars approximately 3 times a month. Without the help of CSX and the cooperation of the Tropicana employees, turning them at that rate would never happen. To my knowledge, that's about 3 times the industry average.
When you look at this juice train, you should also think of the Pacific Fruit Express. If not for the PFE, the juice train would never have been born.
Pacific Fruit Express was one of a number of transcontinental perishable handling organizations founded by E.H. Harriman at the time when SP and UP were one. And it was really to provide transcontinental shipment of perishables to the East Coast, where everybody lived in the early part of the century, the 20th century.
This train is a long-time East Coast fixture between Florida and New Jersey. Historian Anthony Thompson wrote a book called Pacific Fruit Express about the train that was a regular fixture on the West Coast. He says it was more than just another train.
It was a big deal. I was struck in doing the research that oranges were Christmas presents in the early part of the 20th century, and when you got pears in the market or peaches or anything like that, it was for just a few weeks, and that was all there would be. And people were accustomed to that, but it meant that both fruits and vegetables that we take for granted practically year-round today just weren't available in those days. Part of it's transportation, and part of it is storage and broader crop seasons and those aspects as well.
The Pacific Fruit Express train brought folks what was then rare produce. The train is still by far the best way to move the juice, much better than trucks. And you know how you see some trains sort of poking along, rocking their way to some distant destination? Not the juice train. It really hammers along the route.
The best way to look at the railroad advantage that we have is that it brings speed into our system. And in reality, speed and volume together, and that's a unique thing for us. We have such a high consumption of orange juice in our Northeast and now into our Midwest area that to put the volume of trucks on the road to accomplish that would be just monumental. And what the train brings to us is a 2-day delivery or cycle time into the Northeast and the Midwest. And additionally, a huge amount of volume moving at one point in time. Each railroad car equates to about 3.5 truckloads of product. So do the math. If we're shipping 50 to 60 carloads, you can imagine how many additional truckloads that would have to be.
And since we're talking numbers, how about the fact that this Tropicana plant covers 268 acres? 68 of those acres are under one roof with 3,200 people at this facility. More numbers? How about a fleet of more than 300 refrigerated boxcars? How about 2 trains, one with 45 cars that make 6 trips a week between Florida and New Jersey, and another train called the Midwest Juice Train with 30 cars making 2 trips between Florida and Cincinnati. And if that isn't enough, the Tropicana plant uses 4 million oranges a day.
That equates to approximately 400 truckloads of product a day coming into our facility and being processed. And then on the outbound side, we're looking at maybe 200 truckloads of finished product going out the door, along with another 45 to 50 railroad cars of product. And the train brings a neat thing to us. It's a concept because people get excited about seeing a train go by. Sometimes when you have to wait for the train to go by, you're not so excited. But the other side is that it is a major monumental feat on a daily basis to pull anywhere from 45 to 70 cars out of this lot and do that anywhere from 6 to 7 times a week.
And just think, it's all because people love their orange juice.
And you're waiting for something really good. I mean, the fact of the matter is that in the New York metro market, we're the #1 selling item in the grocery store. So when that train arrives, every grocery train is looking forward to that shipment.
So next time you grab a carton of juice, remember the juice train. If you think about it, it's carrying more than just juice. It's carrying tradition and history. Think back to the old days when juice was cooled with ice on the trains of the PFE.
Well, I think the key in a fleet like Pacific Fruit Express was that refrigerator cars were specialized and expensive, and most railroads didn't want to buy them because for that 4 to 6 week peach season, you didn't want to own cars that sat around the rest of the year. But Southern Pacific and Union Pacific, with their huge territory, with such different climates in different parts of it, could keep the cars busy most of the year. You had potatoes late in the fall, and pretty soon you have oranges in California in the winter, and so on throughout the whole crop year. So they could make use of a large fleet, and they had the largest in the country, in a way that individual smaller railroads could never have done. And ice was used until a surprisingly late time. 1972 is when it was discontinued. And the real reason for that is ice is cheap and it's very effective because when ice melts, it really absorbs a lot of heat. It really took a lot of heat out of the produce. So you could even put warm produce from the field into the cars, and that melting ice would very rapidly suck up the heat. And that really was something you could not do with mechanical refrigeration for a long time. In fact, today you can't do it. Air doesn't have the same kind of ability to remove the heat. But today shippers will cool the produce out of the field before they put it into the shipment cars, or trucks as they often are today.
Those old images are just an older version of these. The thing they have in common is trains. So the next time you grab some orange juice, think of where it came from, how it got there, and how, in your own small way, you're playing a part in history, the history of the juice train.